Welcome to Home Care Business Insights, your go-to resource for exploring the many aspects of running a successful home care business. Whether you're an industry pro, new entrepreneur, or just curious about the industry, this podcast offers strategies, tips, and solutions to help you succeed. While AI-generated voices host the episodes, the insights are real and designed with your growth in mind. Let's dive into what matters most in building a thriving home care business. Now let's hear from our AI hosts.
Welcome to Home Care Business Insights, which is proudly brought to you by the team at Caring Senior Service.
Glad to be here.
Yeah. And, if you're listening to this right now, you are likely exploring the home care industry. You're probably an established professional considering taking that leap into franchise ownership.
Right, which is a huge step.
It is. But today, we're skipping the granular day-to-day tasks of running a home care business. We're not talking about scheduling or immediate marketing tactics today.
No, we're zooming way out for this one.
Exactly. We are unpacking the single most critical mindset shift that you need for success in this industry. It's the profound difference between simply making money and, truly building wealth.
And I know that sounds like just basic semantics, like making money, building wealth. Isn't it the same thing?
Right. People use them interchangeably all the time.
They do, but it's really not the same. When people fail to grasp this distinction, they usually just end up, buying themselves a highly stressful, underpaying job.
Yeah, instead of building an actual commercial asset. It makes me think about an Olympic sprinter deciding to run a marathon.
Oh, that's a great way to look at it.
Right, because if that athlete uses the exact same explosive pacing strategies that won them a gold medal in the 100-meter dash, they are going to literally collapse by mile 3.
Absolutely. The physical effort is still there, but the rules of the game have entirely changed.
Right. You have to completely rewire your approach. You have to stop optimizing for short-term speed and start thinking about long-term sustainability, which brings us to what we like to call the corporate hangover.
The corporate hangover. I love that term because it is so incredibly accurate for what we see.
It really is. I mean, the majority of people exploring franchise ownership are bringing 10, maybe 20, sometimes 30 years of corporate experience with them.
And in that corporate environment, you are deeply trained to evaluate your worth on very specific short-term metrics.
Your base salary, your annual bonus, the biweekly validation of that paycheck hitting your bank account.
Exactly. And bringing those deeply ingrained expectations into a franchise model creates immediate friction because the corporate world operates entirely on a paycheck mentality.
Right. And let's define that really quick. Making money in that context is tied to immediate earnings.
Yeah, your focus is hyper-local. You're constantly asking, what value did I extract today?
Yeah.
Or this month?
Because your compensation is strictly tied to your time and your labor. Even if you're a high-level executive making $250,000 a year, the equation is the exact same. You trade your time for capital.
And the fundamental flaw there is the moment you stop working,
the engine shuts down.
Right. You get sick or you want to take a 6-month sabbatical, your income drops to zero because you are the primary fuel source.
Which is such a hard habit to break. Because a highly successful professional steps into their new franchise and the very first instinct is to ask, well, what's my salary equivalent?
Or how much cash can I pull out of this operation this month?
Yeah, they're trying to sprint the marathon. They're applying a time for money metric to a vehicle that is literally designed to generate equity.
It's like fetching pails of water every single day.
Oh, the water analogy. Yes. Explain that.
So making money is like grabbing 2 buckets, walking to the river, and carrying water back to your house every day. You have water, right?
Yeah.
You have to do the walk every single day.
And if you break your leg, you die of thirst.
Exactly. But building wealth is taking the time and the energy to build a plumbing system from the river to your house.
Okay, but let me push back on this a little bit. Because if I'm putting myself in the shoes of a new franchise listening right now, I have to think, wait a minute, I have a mortgage, I have kids in college.
Right. Very real bills.
Yeah, significant living expenses. So isn't it entirely rational for someone to worry about their immediate income? How do you expect someone to stop thinking about a paycheck when they literally need one to survive?
That is the most common pushback, and it's a completely fair point. But the distinction here isn't about ignoring your cash flow or, operating at a personal deficit.
Right, you still have to pay the mortgage.
Obviously. but it's about the ultimate objective of your daily cognitive load.
Your cognitive load, meaning what you're obsessing over every day.
Exactly. The income-focused owner is spending 100% of their mental bandwidth just trying to maximize today's revenue. But the wealth-focused owner ensures the bills are paid, sure, but they allocate their highest-level strategic thinking toward building the infrastructure.
Building the plumbing.
Right. They view daily revenue just as the oxygen required to keep the business alive, while they build something that can eventually operate completely independently of their own labor.
Okay, so since relying purely on your own time has a built-in mathematical ceiling, I mean, there are only 24 hours in a day.
And you can only be in one place at a time.
Right. So how do we actually break out of that trap? Because that is exactly where the mechanics of a franchise system come into play, isn't it?
It is. Building a functional, automated commercial infrastructure from absolute scratch is, well, it's incredibly capital intensive.
And super risky.
Extremely risky. If you're an independent entrepreneur, you're trying to invent the plumbing system, design the pipes, and carry the buckets of water all at the same time.
Which is exhausting just to think about.
But franchising acts as a structural accelerator because the model is inherently designed for scale from day one. When you partner with an organization like Caring Senior Service, you are stepping into a proven operational framework.
Yeah, the blueprints, the compliance protocols, the caregiver recruitment marketing.
Client acquisition strategies, it's all been tested and standardized.
Hmm.
You aren't tasked with inventing the system. Your job is to implement it and transition your role within it.
Transitioning from the primary operator to the leader of an organization.
Yes. It's like moving from being the first chair violinist to being the conductor of the orchestra.
Oh, I love that. Because the violinist is sweating, playing the notes, completely focused on their own instrument.
Right, but the conductor doesn't actually make a single sound during the performance.
Their job is just to make sure the sections are integrated, the tempo is right, the sheet music is followed.
Exactly. The daily to-do list undergoes a radical transformation. The operator is, answering the phone at 6 in the morning because a caregiver called out sick.
Or driving across town to cover a shift, or doing payroll manually at midnight.
Right. But the leader is reviewing dashboard metrics. They're interviewing high-level management candidates. They're looking at geographic data to open a second territory.
But let me challenge the psychology of that transition for a second, because letting go of that primary operator role is terrifying for driven people.
Oh, absolutely terrifying.
If I'm an entrepreneur, my core instinct is that nobody is going to care about my clients or my business as much as I do.
Right, the classic hero complex.
Yeah. So delegating the core service delivery to a manager feels like a recipe for disaster, especially in home care where we're talking about the health and safety of vulnerable seniors. How does a franchise framework specifically make it safe to actually let go of the reins?
Well, the friction point there is the assumption that your manager needs to have the exact same level of intuition and passion as you do.
Which they usually don't.
Right. And in an independent, unsystematized business, that assumption is completely correct. If the hero owner hands the reins to an employee without a system, the quality drops.
Because the employee can't read the owner's mind.
Exactly. The franchise framework mitigates that fear by replacing the need for intuition with the enforcement of metrics and systems.
Oh, okay. So the system is the standard, not the owner's gut feeling.
Exactly. You don't need a manager who has a magical, innate understanding of how to schedule caregivers. You just need a manager who can execute the standardized scheduling matrix that the franchise provides.
Right. With Caring Senior Service, for example, the owner isn't asking the manager to guess which caregiver is the best match for a new client with dementia.
No guessing required.
Yeah.
The system uses specific intake assessments, standardized criteria, and a centralized CRM to output the optimal assignment.
So you aren't trusting the manager's gut, you're trusting the system, and you're just auditing the manager's adherence to that system.
And having that safety net of concrete key performance indicators, or KPIs, that's what actually allows the highly competent professional to finally let go.
Right. You delegate the tasks, you monitor the dashboard.
And that creates the capacity for the business to grow way beyond your own physical limitations.
Which brings us to a huge turning point. Once that team is in place and you've stepped into that conductor role, the business starts generating a real financial surplus.
Yes, the surplus.
And what you do with that surplus is basically the ultimate dividing line between the income earner and the wealth builder.
It dictates the entire future of the enterprise because the income mindset, fueled by that corporate hangover, views profit as a bonus to be extracted right away.
Right. They pull the cash out to upgrade their personal lifestyle. A nicer car, a bigger house.
They just view the business as a machine to fund their immediate consumption.
And it's like eating the seeds instead of planting them for next year's harvest.
That's exactly what it is.
Yeah.
But the wealth mindset looks at that exact same surplus, not as a reward, but as kinetic energy.
Energy waiting to be deployed.
Right. They ask, how can this profit buy me more capacity, more autonomy, or more market share? Reinvesting profits into growth is the actual engine of wealth creation.
What does that reinvestment look like mechanically in a home care franchise?
Well, it means using the surplus to hire an additional scheduling coordinator before your current team burns out.
Oh, staying ahead of the breaking point.
Right, ensuring the infrastructure can handle a 20% jump in volume without fracturing. Or it means deploying capital into localized recruitment marketing so you have a huge bench of credentialed caregivers.
So when a client calls, you can say yes immediately, while your competitors are turning people away because they're short-staffed.
Exactly. Or, and we see this a lot with top performers, it means taking that capital in those perfected systems and acquiring a second, third, or fourth territory.
The magic of compounding.
Yes, you multiply your operational footprint without proportionately increasing your own labor.
So I want to ask a clarification question here, because we hear the word asset thrown around a lot as just a generic business buzzword.
Too much, honestly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What does the day-to-day reality actually look like for an owner who is technically making money compared to the owner who has successfully built a real asset with equity value?
The contrast is night and day. The owner who extracted all their cash and never built an infrastructure, they own a very stressful job. Their phone is a source of constant anxiety. If they try to take a 2-week vacation, everything stalls. Client acquisition dries up, caregivers feel lost, revenue takes a hit.
Because the survival of the business rests entirely on their shoulders.
But the owner, who consistently reinvested in leadership layers, they built a standalone commercial entity. Their day-to-day involves high-level strategic meetings, reviewing trend lines, building relationships with hospital administrators.
The business runs whether they are there or not.
And that independent nature is what creates massive equity value. I mean, think about it. A business that generates $200,000 in profit, but needs the owner to work 60 hours a week in the trenches.
That's worth very little to an outside buyer. You're just selling them a 60-hour-a-week job.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But a business generating that same profit, operating under a management team where the owner works 4 hours a week reviewing KPIs, that commands a massive premium.
Which perfectly transitions us into the ultimate endgame of business ownership, leaving a legacy.
The final stage.
Right, which is functionally impossible if you've just been treating your business like a demanding job for a decade. You cannot bequeath your personal hustle to your kids.
And you definitely can't sell your intuition to a private equity firm.
No. So the wealth-building mindset naturally engineers the business for an exit from day one, even if that exit is like 20 years away.
Because they're evaluating the organization based on its transferability.
Yeah.
Especially in home care, where the services literally keep seniors safe and out of institutions.
Building a sturdy system ensures that community impact continues long after the founder leaves.
And there are two main wealth outcomes when you reach this stage. First is transitioning the business to the next generation. You aren't handing your kids a chaotic burden. You're giving them generational financial stability.
A thriving machine they can just step in and lead.
Yeah. The second pathway is a strategic acquisition. Multi-unit franchise operators are incredibly attractive to institutional buyers right now.
Because they're looking for scalable platforms. They want established revenue, solid infrastructure, a dominant brand presence.
Exactly. They are basically paying a premium for the lack of your necessity.
The less the business needs you, the more they will pay for it.
That's it. A franchisee with a multi-location operation and an independent management team can sell that asset for a massive payday.
So when you look at owners who successfully transition or sell, how much of that success comes down to the actual systems provided by the franchise versus the pure mindset of the owner themselves?
It's a multiplier effect. You need both.
Yeah.
If you have a flawless wealth-building mindset but try to build an agency from scratch,
Sure.
you'll burn years and insane amounts of capital just trying to invent the algorithms and procedures
Paying the stupid tax of trial and error.
over and over. But on the flip side, you can buy into a world-class system like Caring Senior Service with the best blueprints in the industry. But if you refuse to shed that corporate hangover,
And never refuse to delegate.
right, if you manage by gut instead of metrics and pull every dollar of profit out for your lifestyle, You will take a beautifully engineered system and downgrade it into a grueling job.
Wow. So the franchise provides the vehicle and the map, but your mindset is the engine.
Maximum velocity only happens when both are perfectly aligned.
That makes total sense. So to distill this down for you listening right now, making money is about the cash you extract today through your direct labor. But building wealth is the discipline of using proven systems, like the ones at Caring Senior Service, to construct a valuable autonomous asset for tomorrow.
It requires taking your ego out of it, trusting the metrics, and becoming a strategic leader.
It's a huge shift in identity, but it turns your business into an instrument for generational change rather than just replacing a paycheck.
Completely agree.
So I want to leave you with a final provocative thought to mull over as you continue this discovery journey. We talk so much about the anxiety of building a business, but we rarely talk about the psychological reality of actually succeeding.
Oh, it's a deep cut.
Right. Think about it. If you were forced to step away from your work for 6 months starting tomorrow, would your income drop to zero, or would you have an asset that continues to grow without you?
And if you do build that machine, a business that runs perfectly without your daily intervention, where your calendar is empty and your managers handle every crisis, who do you become?
Exactly. When you've spent 20 years defining your worth by your constant output, what happens to your identity when your greatest professional achievement no longer actually needs you to run it?
The paradox of ultimate success is that you build a machine that makes your previous identity obsolete.
Boom. The answer to how you handle that empty calendar will tell you exactly what kind of business you need to build next. Are you ready to stop being an employee of your own ambition and start being an owner?
That's the real question.
Thank you so much for joining us for this special deep dive on home care business insights. We really hope you take this wealth-building perspective into your franchise discovery journey, and we cannot wait to see the incredible organizations you build.